Beep, beep, delivery coming in. That's what insulin sounds like in your body. If you've been hearing a lot of buzz lately about insulin resistance and think that your menopause belly might have something to do with that, stay tuned, girlfriend. Today, I want to make it super easy to understand what this hormone does for you, why you should care, and I'm going to offer you 7 fast, simple ways to balance your blood sugar. Welcome to episode number 46 of the Midlife Reset Podcast. I'm your host, Cheryl Gordon, mindfulness coach and yoga therapist to the stars. No, not really. I'm just having too much fun. But I do help hundreds of women unravel the mystery of midlife hormones with my free online resources and my signature system, the She Mindfulness Program. So I know you've heard it all before. Insulin is a hormone manufactured in your pancreas, and it is responsible for moving glucose into your cells. Do I need to know this for the test? Here's the way I finally started to get the real lowdown on insulin, and I tell it with a little story. Let's say you eat a wonderful meal. Now, all that fuel is digested, and your body has a brilliant shipping and receiving system, and it sends everything out. It's way better even than Amazon's fulfillment system. It gets the nutrients to the places that you need them in record time. Now, the wonderful meal you've consumed contains proteins, fats, and carbs. Each one of those macronutrients has its own special pathway. The carbs are the quick fuel for your system. As soon as possible, the molecules are converted into glucose, otherwise known as sugar, and your body races to get these energy-packed nuggets to where your body requires get up and go. Carbs are things like bread, pasta, rice, muffins, syrup, jam, popcorn, chips, starchy vegetables, legumes, candy, pop, soda pop. All your body absolutely needs carbs in order to provide quick energy. Okay, so you ate that gorgeous meal and you have glucose ready to go. Can you picture all these little sugar molecules dressed up for a hot date, and they're waiting for their Uber? There's bazillions of these little molecules, they're looking hot and they're just floating around. Haha, here comes their specialized Uber now. And it says on the side of the car, insulin. Wow, he's looking hot. Bazillions of insulin molecules pull up and load the glucose. Woot woot! We're on the road, looking for a hot spot to kick up our heels. Now, the best place for a zesty glucose molecule to hang out would be muscle tissue, because that's where the real action is. But sometimes muscle tissue isn't really rocking. Maybe it's sleep time, or there's just a really good Netflix documentary for like 4 hours. And if there's not much movement, the muscles really don't feel like hooking up. Poor glucose. I guess it's a bit like being a wallflower. Anyway, there are other options for this hangout. Glucose can head to the liver or it can be stored in fat tissue. Now, these are not their first choices for these girls, but hey, you got to do what you got to do, right? Now, as the Ubers, or insulin as they're called, pull up at the storage facility, it could be the liver, or it could be the fat tissue, some ambitious warehouse guys figure out how to pile it all in. But these guys get cranky with a lot of overwork. And if that glucose keeps flooding in, day out, they start grumbling. Hey, why doesn't that muscle do its part? They do a little, work to rule. They stop responding. They don't want to unload the glucose from the Uber. So the Uber keeps, driving around and around. It's kind of stuck in a loop. It's stuck in the bloodstream. Now, my friends, this is what your doctor calls insulin resistance. Your warehouse guys are on work to rule. They're burnt out. Storage gets really sloppy, which means a lot more fat in places that you would not choose to have it. Your liver also gets quite congested with all these poor wallflower sugar molecules, and it's caused a big commotion for us with our skin and our hair and our digestion. Oh, man. And then your doctor piles it on and says, your high blood sugar could put you at risk for cardiac disease, diabetes, and Alzheimer's. You know the really frustrating part? There really is a lot of glucose available out there. There's lots of sugar molecules, lots of hotties looking for love. But due to that inventory management debacle, our warehouse guys are practically on strike. So the body thinks we need more energy. I mean, it takes a lot of calories to run this gorgeous machine that we call the human body, especially our amazing brains. And speaking of the brain, it has a huge procedural manual up there, developed over your whole lifetime, even before you were born. In this tome, your brain has experienced that if we need quick energy, if we need those sugar molecules, you can send up a flashy billboard to attract the ladies. And you, my girlfriend, will experience this call for more sugar molecules as a sordid attempt at romance. It comes to you as a craving. You get a carb craving. It feels like you have low blood sugar. You feel hungry even, at least peckish. And it's probably not an actual mealtime, so you just grab what's easy and appeals to you, which will almost always be a simple sugar, like a donut in the break room, a granola bar from the bottom of your purse, an iced coffee, a bag of chips. Your very smart brain knows that those sort of cravings get answered quickly and dependably. Unfortunately, the brain does not read the press releases from your warehouse guys. They don't know about the labor unrest. It doesn't know that in the warehouse it's a sloppy mess, but there is plenty of glucose, plenty of love to go around. It just defaults to the quickest and most habitual solution, which is carb craving. And this is so interesting to watch in my own body. I've been using mindfulness tools to really try and feel this happening in real time. I've written a free guide to mindful eating that I'd love to share with you. There'll be a link in the show notes, and it's also on my website. So remember, this is not the fault of your insulin. Those poor Uber drivers are just following the app, right? They aren't responsible for the extra fuel we've ingested. They can't make the muscles do more. They can't solve the labor problems in the warehouses. They just drive the glucose girls around. It's supply and demand, man. You know? You know who can solve this whole mess? You. Now, this is the really exciting part of our story, girlfriend. The part where you fly in wearing a superhero cape and save yourself from all those horrid chronic diseases. Wow, you're amazing. Some really simple shifts in your habits can solve all that labor unrest. You can reduce the number of girls out there looking for love. You can get those muscles to do their part. It's all just common sense, really, once you understand the story. Here are seven simple habits that will reduce insulin sensitivity and your risk of cardiac disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, and so many other nasty and annoying conditions that we just thought were due to aging. But it's really an energy mismatch. Now, the first two tips I have for you today address the muscle problem. You're going to get your muscle to start doing more of its job to uptake those girls, the glucose girls. Number one, take 1,000-step walk post meal. This equals about 10 minutes of strolling casually. Now, this is not a power walk. It's not about burning calories. In fact, research shows that if you waited longer to take your walk, but walked 10 times longer, you get less benefit. This works because the large muscle groups you move walking will signal the Uber to drop the glucose ladies with the muscles instead of going to the warehouse. Already your labor troubles are easing up, right? So it's just, like I said, about 10 minutes. I stroll around the block. You can go with a friend. You can listen to a podcast. It's not a power walk. That is not what we're talking about here. It's just getting your mover muscles moving. That's all. Now, another movement trick, calf raises. There's something about those calf muscles that really attracts the ladies. All it takes is about 10 up and down. So you go up on the toes and then bring the heels back down. You do it quite quickly. It's like a pump. It really pulls in the glucose. It's a real chick magnet. Yeah. So now, how can you reduce the glucose hit without giving up all the carbs? Because you know you need carbs. You really don't want to give up carbs. There's so many carbs that are actually really healthy for you. So here's a couple tricks to reduce the glucose hit when you do eat. Eat your protein and your vegetables first during your meal. These nutrients take longer to break down. Glucose, remember, is your fastest fuel, so your body is really practiced at breaking it down first. But if you throw something heavy like protein or the complex fibers that are in vegetables, it will take those on before it can get to the glucose, before it can get to the carbs. So your digestion will be somewhat delayed. And you know what? Absence makes the heart grow fonder. The warehouse guys will have more time to get organized. They'll get the signal that there's an incoming load and it won't hit them so fast they don't know what to do with it. They'll have more time to get all the skids ready to go and all the equipment polished up. So eating your protein and veg first. Tip number 4, consider eating your salad first at dinner or lunch or breakfast. No judgment. Use apple cider vinegar dressing. And really, this is so easy to make. I always make my own dressings, and it's not anything to be impressed about, promise. You probably do too, but in case you've never tried it, all you do is you put 1/3 cup apple cider vinegar, 2/3 cup extra virgin olive oil, seasoned with salt and pepper to taste. I mean, you can get all fancy. You can add Dijon mustard, you can add honey, but just that basic vinaigrette is what I'm talking about here. And if you're not eating a salad this meal, you could replicate this effect by doing 1 tablespoon of vinegar and 8 ounces of room temperature water. That's the kind of thing you might do first thing in the morning. Now, the reason this works is the acetic acid in the vinegar boosts the power of your digestion. It boosts up the enzymes. So when your digestive power is strong, which as we get older, it naturally diminishes, we might have to be a little bit more active in protecting our digestion as we get older. But when you have those digestive enzymes boosted, it breaks the stuff you're eating, that breaks the fuel down more thoroughly. The stomach empties really well. When there's sluggish digestion, the Ubers don't know what to do with it. We get really confused about how to get those nutrients to the right spot. So this acetic acid hit really helps. So that's how you can still enjoy your carbs, not having to cut out carbs, but be a little smarter. Now, the last 3 tips are about the timing of your meals. In my mindful eating guide, I'll explain how to effectively plan so you know when to eat and what to eat. All that stuff becomes so much more effortless. It's important to take care of yourself in this way. But the timing of the meals involves your insulin resistance too. So my 5th tip is, because your warehouse guys are fresher in the morning, they've had a good night's sleep, you want to shift your eating window earlier in the day before they get too tired and cranky. Now, meals are ideally spread over 10 to 12 hours per day. You're not eating 16, 18 hours a day. Typically, you're eating in a 10 or 12-hour eating window. The remaining hours, without any glucose going into the system, allow the warehouse to get better organized. They get some cleanup done. They also start to, like absence grows makes the heart grow fonder. They start looking forward to when the girls are going to come around again, and they want to store them well. It might even stimulate the stores of fat to give up a few glucose goodies when the brain realizes that cravings just won't get them any love. Your brain will definitely try the cravings first, trust me. But if you have your mindful eating protocols in place, you understand all the science here, then you might be able to say, I am not going to give in to the cravings. I understand I do have glucose to offer my body. I'm really not hungry. And this is just my insulin resistance. So over time, if you shift that eating window earlier in the day, it will naturally help to reset your digestion and you will get less cravings over time. I cannot tell you in good conscience they go away because mine do not, but at least I understand the whole love triangle a little bit better. It puts a sense of humor on it, right? All right, number 6 brings us to breakfast. And it is the most important meal of the day. Your kindergarten teacher was right. Skipping that first meal tends to bring on greater blood sugar spikes at lunch. The wild Uber ride gets the girls just too excited and the whole system gets destabilized. And I know a lot of people say they just don't feel hungry at breakfast or they lack time to make anything really substantial. And remember, you don't have to rely on cereal or toast. A lot of cultures eat savory for breakfast. So if you have leftovers from the night before, you can have that for breakfast. You are looking for a really big hit of protein and fiber. If you do that, it sets your digestion up for a stellar day. It will reduce your cravings and your carb cravings for the rest of the day if you get that protein and fiber for breakfast. And I know everyone's pushing protein these days. It's not the be all end all, but I think it's prudent to look for about 30 grams at breakfast. And then you're pretty much well set for not for the whole day. You're going to have more protein throughout the day, but it's really going to set your digestion up for a nice, calm, organized day. So what does this look like? A bowl of cereal would be hard. A toast and peanut butter comes nowhere near what you need. But you could do something like 3 eggs, a piece of whole grain toast with nut butter, and a bit of Greek yogurt. Well, I know that sounds like a lot of food, but if you do mindful eating with me, we don't count calories. We look at eating smart. So timing your protein is important. Myself, for speed and to make sure I get a lot more nutrition, I have a smoothie most mornings. I use pea protein, almonds, kefir, ground flax seeds. I put greens and berries in. I don't think I'm at 30 grams in that smoothie, but I'm close. So on the days that I'm doing weight training, I'll add a homemade protein bar, and that clocks in at about 8 grams of protein and very low in sugar. These kind of details don't matter to the glucose girls. They just need the Ubers to show up on time and the muscles to be ready to rock and roll. So number 7, and I guess you probably thought, how can a yoga therapist have this conversation about insulin resistance without talking about stress? Because it is huge. Huge, my friend. Simply put, when you are experiencing chronic stress, and who isn't really, your body produces cortisol. That's the stress hormone everyone talks about, but it's real. Stress hormones are meant to support your body to fight or flee, which means that those muscles are supposed to be ready to spring into action. So your super smart body feels cortisol rising, signals the warehouse guys in the liver to ship out some glucose girls, which would be amazing if the muscles were actually going to fight or flee. But it's highly likely they're not because, after all, we're exhausted, we're stressed, we're very busy. It's all just too hard. So the glucose girls once again float around in their Ubers looking for love in all the wrong places, which means higher blood sugar numbers, even if you were watching your diet. How depressing is that? You resisted the carb cravings, which spiked your stress hormones, which upped your blood sugar anyway. And of course, the cravings are going to get worse because your liver is giving up glucose and it's getting signals that we need to have more storage. Our warehouse numbers are down. So that is the 7 steps that will help you get your insulin under control. So just to recap, we have to look at the fact that insulin is not a negative thing, that the insulin is just really the Uber driver. And if the insulin was taking the glucose girls to the muscles where they're supposed to be needed for making us move around, those muscles are the real energy gobblers, then everything would be fine. But we're not moving enough. We're giving into carb cravings and we're under a lot of stress. And all of that leads us to insulin resistance. So our little tips today were 1,000 steps post-meal, the calf raises, 10 of them done rapidly after you eat. Eat your protein and veg first at your meal. Use vinegar strategically. And try to move your eating window up in the day so that your biggest amount of food is eaten like before 5 or 6 p.m. at night. And of course, breakfast being very important, trying to shoot for 30 grams of protein and lots of fiber at breakfast. And do something about your stress, my friend. I can really help you with that, by the way. I'm a yoga therapist. Did I mention that? And I really hope you look at my mindful eating program. I have a free guide to get you started. But if you really want to get to the bottom of this energy mismatch, the She Mindfulness program does take it deep. We look at the stress in your life. We go further into the hormone mess, and we create the structure and support to tackle all this. You don't have to do it alone. I didn't do it alone. I'll put links to all this information in the show notes, or drop me a comment and we can talk more. Thanks so much for hanging with me today. I'll see you next week. Namaste. Hey, girlfriend, I'm so glad that you're listening to this podcast. But I wonder if you wanted to take the work a bit deeper. Would you like to feel lighter, sleep better, and wake up energized again? Join my 60-minute free masterclass to learn the 5 steps that help me lose 25 pounds, reset my body, and finally feel calm, strong, and confident again. You can register on my website, and I really hope to see you soon.